Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Lovett. Um, I'm going to be doing my micro teaching assignment on the social cognitive self concept and moral development theories, per se. Due to me not having a cameraman or camera woman at this point in time, because my wife is busy and I had to find a quiet room, didn't have any kids in it. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to talk without letting you guys view the presentation or PowerPoint, but I will, of course, upload it so you will be able to see that also. Um, so let's just get into it. All right. So the objective or outcome that I'm hoping that everyone in the class will get out of this is for you guys to be fully able to comprehend the social cognitive self concept and mental development theory with 100% accuracy. Now, we're going to dive into the social cognitive theory, in which it was actually created by a guy named Albert Bandura. He created the social cognitive theory, which is also known as the social learning theory. Uh, Actually, he believed that social learning is due in great part to the influence of observation and modeling the behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reaction of others. Okay, when we look at the actual social cognitive, the principles of the theory itself, we have where it is the main focus of everything, and we have these different pathways in which kind of like intertwine and commingle with each other, which they work hand in hand. Which there's a model behavior, the learning environment, and the innate personal things that they already have built within themselves. Those things, they all work hand in hand. However you go around the main concept of this theory. When we talk about people learning by observing others, um, we hear all those. We hear certain commercials where it's like, watch what you do in front of your kids because they're actually looking up to you. If you pick up a cigarette, little Johnny, he's looking at you, thinking it's okay for when I get older to pick up a cigarette and smoke. It's not going to hurt me, or whatnot. Some other examples would be, like an infant learns, an infant learns to make and understand facial expressions just by looking at you. If I could, I would upload a video of when my oldest child, he was born. I think he was about 3 or 4 months old, and he was having a tantrum. He just saw me doing some things. It was kind of like mirroring exactly what I was doing, and it became like a real funny situation, a funny game per se. But anyway, I'm on topic, but let me get back to exactly what we're talking about. But another example would be a child learning how to chew. A really great example is a younger child watching the older child get in trouble for doing something, and just seeing that happen in front of them, it lets that younger child know that, I will not do what I just saw you do because of the consequences that just followed that happened to you. And you know and then that's about it as far as examples when it comes to observation. Observing, observing things around you, actually feeding off of that and learning from it. Another thing is that learning is an interval process. People behave in certain ways to reach goals. That is very true. People behave in many ways just to receive a goal. You have some people that behave in a positive manner, some in a negative manner to reach their goal. You know, as far as something like a promotion on the job, you got some people who, quote unquote, people say they'll suck up to their boss to get to the top. Or you have someone that'll cut corners to get to the top. Either way, there's a consequence behind that. Behavior is self-directed, and reinforcement and punishment have unpredictable and indirect effects on both behavior and learning. Okay. One thing that Bandura did come up with was the Bobo doll experiment, uh, in which it was a study conducted by him and two other people, I believe. Bandura, Ross, and Ross. I really didn't put them in my notes because I was so focused on him. But it was conducted in 1961, and to investigate if social behaviors like aggression can be acquired by observation and imitation. And what they did, they took 36 boys and 36 girls from Stanford University Nursing Center, and they were between the ages of 3 to 6 years old. And what they did was they did a pre-test before they actually got to the real test. They did a pre-test in order to properly group the children in the groups, different behavior or I guess aggression groups per se. And the groups are placed in 3 different model areas: an aggressive area, a non-aggressive area, and a control conditioned area. And hold on. Okay, that's right. And the thing about the children and the results from the test were that the children who observed the aggressive model, they made far more imitative aggressive responses than the children who were in the non-aggressive or control condition model room. There was more partial and non-imitative aggression among those children who had observed aggressive behavior, although the difference for non-imitative aggression was small. Now this next pointer was, I actually found that to be kind of funny because it seems like it's a little true. It said that the girls in the aggressive model showed more physical aggressive responses if the model was male, but more verbal aggressive towards the female Bobo doll model. And boys were more likely to imitate same-sex models than girls. Girls imitating same-sex models, it did not show a strong showing. I would guess that the girls, they like to say girls mature. I guess mature better than boys. That is the belief system that we've heard almost all our lives right about now. Boys imitated more physically aggressive acts than girls, and there was a little difference in verbal aggression between the two. And I would think maybe because everybody wants to have the last word, so therefore there couldn't have been too big of a difference gap there. All right, the next theory I want to move on to is our self-concept theory, and this is basically how we think of ourselves and how we think we should behave and act out our various life roles. If you see yourself as as the president, I guess, as the future leader of this world. If you see yourself from a young age and you have that drive and that's what you see yourself doing, you're able to keep that in your mental and be able to push yourself so that you always have that picture in front of you that someone motivates you to get exactly where you want to be. It is also how you view your strengths and your weaknesses. Excuse me. Some examples will also be like a person views herself as a kind person. That a lot of people view themselves as kind people. Even outside folks could probably be like, maybe you're just a little too nice. A person views himself as having an exceptional artistic ability. Somebody may be great. When we talk about art, we're not just talking about paints. We're not just talking about like a painting that's right above my head. We can be talking about music. That can be their art, their form of art. We talk about Tai Chi or karate or Taekwondo. That's a form of art in itself. A person sees himself as motivated to make a significant contribution to society. There are a lot of ways that someone who sees if there's a area of need in a community, and that person steps in and takes the initiative. You never know exactly what an impact that he or she could have on a person, and the feedback that they would get would be, I believe, pretty positive. Um, and last but not least, another example would be a person sees himself as perceiving equality, freedom, and fairness as important values. All right, the principles of self-concept theory. They'll learn self-concept is learned by the individual. You know, it's really I really can't say that outside factors determine who I am as a person. I know who I am. I know what I wanted to do with my life. I know who I am, and I'm pretty strong-minded, and I don't let anybody get to me in such a way that I lose who I am. Self-concept is organized, and it is also dynamic. There are also dimensions of self-concept. You have the actual self-concept and ideal self-concept, private self, social self. When we actual self, you ask questions like how I actually see myself. Ideal self, you'll probably ask yourself like, how would I like to see myself? Where do you see yourself being 5 years, 10 years from now? From your current situation, whether it's in the career, your living situation, the type of vehicle that you drive, whether you having kids or not. That's where do you see yourself? How others actually see me. That would be a social self concept. How others actually see you. Do they see you as this strong man or woman, or this, very ambitious and successful person that you think you are? Do they really see you for that person, or are they seeing another side of you that nobody really knows? And last but not least, ideal social self. How I would like others to see me. How would you like them to see you? What would you do to make someone see you the way that you want to be seen? Next, I want to talk about the moral development, but more so, let's talk about the creator. Lawrence Kohlberg, he created the moral development theory, and he actually inspired the works of famed theorists as Gene Piaget and John Dewey. He also believed that people progress in their moral reasoning through a series of stages. And we're going to go on to the next slide. Right now, the slide that I'm looking at now, like I said, I will upload the whole presentation, both the video and my slideshow. Kohlberg's moral stages. The first two stages were in the pre-conventional level, which is up to age of 9. Stage of punishment and obedience, instrumental relativist. And then you have the conventional level, which is most adolescents and adults, with stages of interpersonal concordance, law and order. And then you have post-conventional level, which is 10 to 15% of the the over 20s, which is the stage of social contract and universal ethical principle. Now, when we talk about the stages, and we're looking for an example, punishment and obedience. An example would be, it would be bad for someone to take something from somebody because the teacher will punish that person. Therefore, punishment and obedience, that's the stage that is. An example for an instrumental or a relativist, it would be that if Chris is nice to me, then I'll be nice to him. But if he decides to be mean to me, I won't have a problem being mean right back with him. And when we look at the next stage, interpersonal concordance, I better not do drugs because my friends, they would think less of me. And on top of that, in return, I think less of myself. We look at the law and order stage. We're looking at, an example of somebody being against war, but, like a student on campus against war, but that student will not go out and protest around campus, putting up signs, being out on the stoop or, in the middle of the grass area, screaming out, their opinions without having the permission of the administration of that school. An example for social contract would be, saying that something like, our tax situation where people are saying that it's not fair that big companies have, less of a tax break than, everybody else. They want things to be equal, on equal level. Everybody have the same amount holding on their shoulders together. Same amount of weight is bearing on everybody's shoulders. And last but not least, an example for a universal ethical principle is someone who refuses to obey the law, obey a law that says that, that treats another class of people as second-class citizens in this state. Like I said, moral development can only be found. Individuals can only find progress one at a time. It's not all gonna come in, at once, hitting you all in the face at the same time. No, it's a stepping stone. It's a process. It's one step at a time. You have to move up this ladder, and it can be promoted through formal education. It really can, and also through social interaction with period. Social interaction is something that helps with moral development. That basically, the more you talk, the more you develop yourself into finding out who you are, and exactly what it is, the things that move you. The things that move you, that you stand for. And that's it. Like I said, my name is Chris Lovett. And I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. It looked like it ran over 10 to 15 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.